Yawanna, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Tom.
Maybe we can start with you telling me a little bit more about yourself and what you do and how you got here to Birmingham and what you like about the city and all those good things.
My name is Yawanna McDonald. I am an attorney at Campbell Gewin Law Firm here in Birmingham. I practice primarily in business litigation, estate, and probate litigation, where I focus on doing both plaintiff and defendant's work. In regards to estate litigation, I do a lot of defending the will as well as making sure that the people that are in charge of the will, the trustees and those personal representatives, are doing what they're supposed to do.
So if I have an argument with a sibling over a will,
yes.
I come to you?
Yes, that's what you do. Yes, and we'll try to resolve that issue for you.
Good, I'll keep that in mind.
Todd, what do you do?
I do a few things. I've been in the music industry for 20 years. Started out at the University of Alabama in a band back in the late 90s and just found a love and passion for the business side of music. Probably blindly at the time, but it's something that I've grown to love in different ways, and it's just a really neat profession to get into and a unique area for a career path. So everything that I do currently has been predicated on workplace theater here in Birmingham. I've done all the shows there for the last 8 years, and then the Hangout Music Festival in Gulf Shores. I was the talent buyer there for the first 4 years of the festival. Then there's another festival called the Pemberton Music Festival in British Columbia. That's in its second year, and I'm the talent buyer for that event as well. And then also my full-time job is with a company called Ticket Biscuit here in Birmingham.
So all those are part-time jobs?
Pretty much.
Hobbies?
I wouldn't say hobbies. They're legitimate, I guess, part-time jobs that would be full-time for some folks, but the way that they're all very harmonious in terms of how they work together in relationships that I've built over the years. So I'm able to pull it off, I think, with little strain. But then at Ticket Biscuit, I am the vice president of client relations for our top clients. We're a software ticketing company based out of Birmingham with a couple thousand different clients throughout the world.
Is it just music? Is it
It's
sports?
everything. We have a ton of different verticals that we do. So it's started in music, and then it has evolved over the years to doing everything from railroads, where we'll do like Polar Express events for different railroads. And then we also do comedy clubs and casinos. And a new vertical that we've been in for the last 3 or 4 years has been what we call Tutu Tix. And Tutu Tix is a dance recital ticketing company. So we're the largest in the space and provide a service that's unmatched by anybody else. And it's been a real interesting ride for the company with that new vertical of Tutu Tix.
Excellent. My daughter dances from time to time, and so I could see how recitals and you're trying to get tickets for other people,
Right.
venues. I mean, that would be a great way of being able to let relatives out of town be able to purchase their own tickets.
Right.
You don't have to be the point person to do that. So
You're exactly right. That was a void that was in the market that some folks in our company noticed and took advantage of. So if you have your little girl dancing on the right side of the stage, you want to get tickets on the right side of the stage,
Right.
so you can go online and pick where those seats are going to be. And it's a
Right.
technology that was never available before to these folks. So it's pretty neat. So you said your little girl?
Yes.
How old is she?
She's 8, Savannah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of dance does she do?
Well, she likes to do a lot of jazz. This past season, she was able to participate in Birmingham Ballet.
Oh, yeah.
So she enjoyed doing the Nutcracker.
Oh, how fun.
We had fun with that. It was
great.
our first experience, so she enjoyed it. I did too.
Is she your only child?
No, I have a son, 12, PJ.
Okay.
So he's the athletic sports person.
So what does he play?
Football and basketball.
Great.
He's a quarterback, and I forgot what position he plays in basketball. But he's enjoying it.
How great.
Yeah, he's really enjoying it. He and his father.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I have an 18-month-old little boy, 18 months today, actually. And so he's pretty far from playing quarterback or doing any dancing. But we're enjoying him right now, no doubt.
What's his name?
His name's Grady.
Grady.
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's my wife's grandfather's name.
Okay.
So
Oh, man.
he's our first, and we were just having a blast.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you fell in love with the business of music.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fall in love with the business of music?
I think it needs to be fairly unbridled and fairly naive. You can't really know too much about the music business to fall in love with it, and I think that's how it gets a lot of us. A lot of folks that are in the music business generally have a starting point of being a musician of some sort or in a band, and that's how I was in Tuscaloosa in the 90s. And when our band did what all other bands do, which is break up, I was still wanting to feed that, I guess, desire to be a part of something in the music business, even in such a small degree, like in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Yeah.
So I just really loved doing it, and I was 22 years old, and it was really cool to do at the time. And then it's evolved, and there's different levels and different layers of the music industry of what side you can be on. I've always been on the promoter or talent buyer side of things for the most part, and then the ticketing side as well. But yeah, I fell in love with it early on just because I love music so much, and I wanted to find a way to retain some sort of presence around it. If I could figure out a way to work in the music industry, I felt like I'd be really happy the rest of my life. And I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to do that, and have been doing it for 20 years.
Oh. So what's the biggest act or the act that you're most proud of that you brought, let's say, in the state of Alabama?
In the state. So the Hangout Music Festival is in Gulf Shores, and we did a lot of big names for that festival, from Dave Matthews Band to Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it's probably the first act that we booked the first year of the festival, just because the festival was, we determined that we were going to do the festival in November 2009, and then the gates opened on May 14th, so we didn't have a whole lot of time to really put it all together, and it was a big struggle because you have to introduce people to the event. Nobody knew where Gulf Shores, Alabama was at the time either, but we had to introduce people to what we were doing, where it was located, what the plan was, and at that time it was unprecedented to think about doing a festival on the beach, which is what our concept was. So the first act that we finally booked was Alison, Krauss and Union Station. More a bluegrass-based artist from Nashville, and when we finally got her booked, I think that was probably one of the most exciting moments of that year, just because then it became real.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, we've got somebody booked, so maybe we can get some momentum from this. But there's been a ton of different artists that we've had the pleasure of working with, and I've had the pleasure of working with individually. And the list is too long to name, but I think probably from a sense of being proud, actually being able to get that first one done would be my answer. So, tell me what it is about law that got you into the arena of practicing, and what it is you like most about it now, how that's changed since you got out of law school, maybe what you thought you were going to be in terms of what your passion was, or going into law school and getting out of law school, and throughout that timeline, and where you are now.
I would say when I first went to law school, I thought that I would be someone that primarily focused on business litigation or working for large corporations, that sort of thing, just with my prior experience. And when I got to law school, I began to enjoy classes that dealt with people's finances at the end of time, or their state, or what they're leaving their family, the wills and the legacy that they were leaving to their families, and the intent of the legacy. And I just really I was just drawn to it, and felt like, oh, that's me. I really like that. I think having that prospect of the law is the sense of you marry people and the law together, in the sense of their intent for what they want to do with their money, how they want their families to take care of themselves after the loved one is gone, and have they measured up and meet the requirements of the law. And then to the next step, are people following their intent? So it's all encompassing. It gets a little hairy at times because there's a lot of emotions. Everybody feels that loved one had a different intent, or the desire was something different than what's laid out on paper. So you try to translate what's on paper to, okay, this is how we're going to do it in practical terms. Or to the extent that it's right on paper, but the people are not carrying it out as it's specified on paper, how do you rectify those? And the emotions run high.
I can imagine.
And so hopefully at the end of the day, you hope to achieve the intent of the loved one that left a legacy. And to the extent you can, you try to get it to the best places you can. And you want to make sure, I personally want to make sure for my clients, is that I'm not only achieving their goal, but they're better off. That when I'm fighting the litigation, that they're not stressed about it. That's my job to worry about it for them. And so to bring a sense of comfort to them, or, okay, I can exhale. I don't have to fight this to the extent on my own.
Yeah,
my lawyer, the law firm, McDonald is fighting it. And when I need to be engaged, and when the clients need to be engaged, they'll let me know to the extent that they need to be engaged in it. But really, we want to let them know that we're not afraid to go to court. You know, a lot of lawyers now settle and mediate, and there's nothing wrong with it. There are appropriate times for that. But to the extent that those don't work out, we'll go to court.
Gotcha.
So,
how often are you dealing with situations where there's nothing left in writing? Is that often?
Yeah, it happens. In some term, a lot of times people just don't want to talk about the end for whatever it is.
I feel people are more proactive about it in this day and age.
Yes.
But I feel like, even before, and I'm sure there's still a ton of folks now that, don't want to take the time to do that or deal with that, talking about the end, like you said. So what happens in those situations if you have a client come to you that says, well, I know that, my father was willing to leave X, Y, and Z to me, but he never took the time to go get everything done in a legal manner.
Yeah. Well, the state has already provided that for you.
Oh, okay.
So when you do not do it, the state has already prescribed how your property will be dispersed.
Thanks, state.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you've allowed legislators to determine how your property, your assets will be disseminated.
And is that the same for everybody?
Yeah. That would be the same. And it's by familial relationships. So a spouse could get everything. If they're children, there's provisions of how the spouse and the children are divided the assets, and it goes down the line.
Gotcha. That
way. So it's really an ineffective way to plan for your future.
Oh, sure.
One, because you've worked hard for your own assets, so why leave it to somebody in Montgomery to determine how they should be distributed? And it puts the family in a bad position, because now they have to do extra things and go through other processes in determining your assets and that sort of thing. And so it's always better to have a will. That way you get to lay out how you want your property to be distributed, to whom you want it to be distributed to.
Sure.
Especially if you have children, if you want to leave it in trust for them for long-term care. If you have parents that are elderly, you want to leave something for them. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can do it, and there are a lot of capable lawyers here in Birmingham that can write a will. I would propose that people go to a lawyer and not do it yourself will.
Sure. Because there are a lot of options online where you can do a living will and testament. And, any number of different types of wills. I know that when my wife and I did ours, we did 3 or 4 different pieces of document. Anything from the living will to where our assets and our estate would go, all the way down to the fifth or sixth person on the
Right.
on the line.
Right.
But then I did notice those little quick 1999 options online that don't
Yes.
seem to be very
Right.
legitimate to me.
Right, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah, sure.
And because most time people that are doing that, you're not a lawyer, so you're just filling in the blanks, and you don't really know or understand what that means. And so I would say go get you a lawyer to do a will for you. And it's not a hard process at all. And the lawyer oftentimes will do a health directive to tie along with your will. It allows you to determine what you want to happen to you if you're incapacitated and that sort of thing. So it's needed, and people shouldn't wait till the last minute to do it.
And you would suggest and say that everyone
I would.
needs to go down that road?
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Especially once you start a family or
right.
enter into a union.
If you have a lot of assets, you need to protect those. And you need to go to someone to get those done correctly.
That's great. That's a lot of good information.
All right.
Well, it was so great meeting you today and chatting with you. I learned a lot from you and what you do, and thanks for being so informative.
Oh, thank you, and I look forward to attending some of your events, and hope you can bring more events here in the state of Alabama and nationwide.
You and me both.
Thanks.
Thanks. Take care.